G'day viewers, and welcome back to the channel. This time, I'm going to be doing a bit of maintenance on my dusty old ride-on lawnmower. Stick around. If this is your first time here, welcome. I hope I can teach you something, you enjoy what you see, and consider subscribing. Now, I said this is my old ride-on mower. I do have a newer version. It's a lot bigger and kind of overkill for where I live right now. So that's locked away in the shed. And this is the one I use generally. Hadn't used it for 6 months because it's been so dry. Sat for 6 months. Then when it did rain, grass went mad. I had to get it out and it wouldn't start. Oh great, here we go. I've already started digging into that, but I'm going to go through some of the things that I did to try and diagnose that issue. Now, why am I doing all this? A, because, well, I have to do it. I'm going to film it. Second, there's not much out there on these mowers. Probably because they're like 30 years old. But anyway. So what are we looking at here? As I said, I think it's about a 1990 model from anything I can find. This particular one is a Yardman RE830. Now these are also sold in England under the White brand and also under the Victor brand. Exactly. And at the end of the day, it's actually an MTD unit. Now, the model number RE830. RE is rear engine. 8 is the size of the engine in horsepower, and 30 is the size of the width of the cut, which technically actually makes this an RE1130, because a couple of years ago the old 8 horsepower absolutely obliterated the conrod. I just happen to have this laying around from one that I bought years ago and pulled apart the parts, so I dropped the 11 in there. I had to do a couple of alterations to the main shaft just to make everything fit, but that is now an 11 horsepower engine. Does the job well. Now, apart from the engine swap, I've done a couple other little things to this. The key switch died on me a while ago, so I replaced them with a push-pull start-stop button and a momentary start. You can see here still that there's off, on and start there. That's all gone because it's just a push button. And this one used to be the choke. I'll get to that in a sec. And that's been replaced with just a simple, as I said, push-pull. I also adapted this because how it was really hard to get to, so it now pretty much sits up between your legs, but not that high. It's actually pretty comfortable to use. As for the choke, just temporarily move this out of the way. Here's my choke. That's just pretty much a piece of wire. I can't even remember what that was, but it was actually shaped like that. I just put a little dog leg in the other end, down there. Put it through a bit of... Actually, I think that was the original cable. I don't know how I got it like that. I must have been it like that. But it's just a simple choke mechanism. And I can reach that from the seat. That works well. Also, the elephant in the room, that didn't come with that. I made that based off pictures I found on the internet. that's the catcher system. There's the catcher. Still half full of grass. Again, made that just out of, well, it's 1/2 inch tube around here, and then it's just covered in 0.8 mil, I think, sheet metal. There's a vent section in the top. It's just shade cloth. Again, 1/2 inch tube make up the handles, and just some 3x15 mil flat stock make up cross braces just to keep it all in shape and together. So, what am I going to do to this? As I said, it wouldn't start. So, well, for the time being, because I needed to run it, I just jump started it. So that's the negative battery lead. Just put the negative side of the jump starter on there, and went down here to the hot lead, positive side, on the starter motor, bypassing the solenoid altogether, because originally that was my first thought. Oh, that's the solenoid. The solenoid's not technically in there at the moment. So after pulling that out, tested it, okay, that's fine. Now I've got to put it all back together. But while it's out, let's go test that solenoid. Go test the solenoid. Let's just do it right here. Okay, jumper pack. That's the solenoid. Basically all that is just a big switch. That is our negative. Now these come in 2 different types. This is a 3-pole. See, 1, 2, 3. The main power goes through there from one side to the other. One side comes in from the battery, the other side goes out to the starter. And that's our trigger, our positive trigger. Now on a 4-pole, it's a negative and a positive. So you just connect one wire from there to the frame, other wire to a switch. And in the case of this one, this bracket acts as the negative. So put that on there. Get our positive. And I've just got a jumper cable. It's a big jumper cable, but you get the idea. I connect those two together. This is now live, and we're just going to touch that onto there. Now, you hear that? That means it's triggering, it's working. However, doesn't necessarily mean power is passing through there. Take your multimeter and switch it round to the ohms range, or the resistance range, and it should come up. You get a 1. Put that down. Now we've got obviously positive, negative. I have a clip on one, not the other. That's going to make life difficult. Let's put this one on here. Just clip that on there. Can you see that? Not really. Okay. Here we go. Now keep your eye on the meter. I'm going to put this on here, and it's going to register. Well, it's going to do nothing. What we want it to do, hang on. Let's put that under there. That makes life easier. Now, at the moment it's doing nothing. What we want it to do is, as soon as we contact here, that is going to drop to 0. Let's see what happens. Nothing, because the booster's not on. It went to negative. What? Hang on. Okay. At least, well, it's doing something. Let's reverse and see what happens. Positive on that one. And the negative on here. Let's try that again. No, I had it right first time. Well, hang on. What just happened then? There we go. That means we're getting current across it. That means it's contacting. That's a healthy solenoid. Alright. Now we've got to put this back in. See what else we can find. Now, as you noticed, I've already taken this. This is basically just a bracket to cover up all the electricals and hold the fuel tank in place. 4 bolts, that comes out. It also has the spring for the seat. There's 2 bolts here, and there's 2 bolts down in there. There you go, there's one there, and there's one over there underneath the starter motor. Great positioning. Anyway, let's pull this back out of the way, see what we can find underneath it. Okay, so as I said, there's a wire from the starter. There's battery positive. Each of those go under there. Might as well start with that. That's a better view. So anyhow, we've got one there, and of course one there. Just tighten them up, and we'll move on. Now, this is our trigger wire. Pop that on there. Oh, that's right, we've got to adjust that. So let's do that. Now one of our switch wires has come out. That actually goes in there. That doesn't feel great. That's really loose. I'll have to look into that. But as I was saying, this is your trigger wire. That goes on there. Let's hook up our booster and see what happens. Positive line. that in there. And nothing. Not getting any power there at all. Yes, booster's switched on. Now, take you for a walk, because it may be one of our safety switches. There's one here. That doesn't look like the culprit. That's all wired and secure and inserted. You know what? I'll rest you guys there for a second. I'm going to pull that in and see if that makes a difference. Push right in. No difference at all. Okay. So that's not the culprit. There is another safety switch down here on the brake pedal somewhere. And yeah, it's up behind here. Somewhere. That one is absolutely, positively, completely depressed. It's up in here. Hang on, that. Whoops. There's one for that too. I'm thinking that's it there. Yep. That's for the cutting deck. That's disengaged. That switch is in. Where is that brake light? That brake pedal switch? It's got to be up here somewhere. That's it there. You still can't see it, but it's up in here. There it is. Up in here. You see that? No, you can't. Okay, I'm going to depress the pedal and I'll recheck that. Okay, that one seems fully in as well. So we're back to square one. So, as I said, these two wires here, they are for the momentary starter switch. So, put one of them on there, put that back on our ohms setting. See that down there? No. How about now? No. How about now? There we go. One on one side, one on the other. Let's see what happens when I push the button. It should go to 0. And it does. Well, there we go. Let it off. Goes back to 1, push it in. Yep. So the switch is working fine. Just need to figure out why it's not triggering fine. Next thing I'm gonna do is get a piece of wire and I'm just gonna jump that and see what happens. You're wondering to yourself, hang on a sec, you just tried the switch, it was fine, why not just plug it back in and see what happens? Because as I said before, these are a bit loose. These are going to be a bit more dramatic. I mean, they're just bare ends, but we can jam that one in there. And that's doing nothing. So there's something going on here, because even if this switch down here is switched off, it'll still crank over. It just won't spark. That just kills the spark. So this, yep, one's earth, one goes to there, which, yep. Now I'm getting confused. Looks like I'm going to have to do a bit more investigating. Probably wondering, why did I take all that off? Because up here is where the two switches are. There's one there, there's one on the other side. This one is for the cutting deck, I think, and the other one's for the brake. And they both have switches on them. I've taken the switches off, but one goes there, one goes there, but obviously over the other side. But that's all bolted here with a clamp to the underside of the chassis. The only way to get to that and that bolt there is through there. There's one there. No, it's probably back here somewhere, so I'll need to pull up this matting. Oh, look at this, there's two cutouts here, so that's got to be one of them. Nope, that's actually back behind it. Alright, we'll get this one out, this one, and we'll work on that one in there. And that, viewers, is the entire wiring system for this whole mower. Well, apart from the two wires that go down to the starter over here, wire that goes to the starter and back to the coil. That's the kill switch, and it just came off. Cool. So if we undo this plug here, we should be able to remove that entire wiring system. Oh well, undo the fuse. There we go. Now we can remove that entire loom. There's a lot of muck back here too. You get that when you mow grass. Alright, so here we have it, the entire loom, and we're going to make that smaller. Now this is for the seat trigger. That's been disconnected for years, never been a problem. That is well, most of it's a waste of space because 2 wires into that, and that makes the push button switch work. And said that's the starter, that's the, I don't know, and down here we have the coil. Now these two are for the front switches. That is for the rear deck switch. This is nothing, so we're going to pull this apart and figure out what needs to stay and what needs to go. Oh, and this one, yeah, that's for the relay. That's the relay trigger. That goes all the way down through here, through both of these, in series I'm assuming, and then back up somewhere. That's to be discovered. Alright, let's start pulling this apart. That's just to mark where this yellow wire needs to exit. Let's keep going. Alright, so that solenoid trigger wire goes down here. And that's it there. It's on one side, and you've got these yellow and green and another red. So I'm assuming that red one goes over to here, but we have other red ones. Yep, there's a red one there. Let's pull that. I mean, it's got to be that one because it's the only red one. The green goes back up, and the yellow goes back up. So the red wire is the important one. That runs in a series. So if either one of these plugs isn't working or isn't engaged, it just won't start. So what we need to do, grab our switches and a multimeter. And the battery's flat because I left it on. Crap. Okay, so here's a tip for you. When you use your digital multimeter, make sure you switch it off, otherwise the battery goes flat. No! have a new battery in it now. And I've been doing a little bit of testing. Hope you guys can see that meter from there. You kind of, not. These switches, they're basically two circuits. There's one here and one here. And this side, let's put that on the right setting. You see that's 0 at the moment. If I attach the positive to the other side, that shows that this side is a normally open circuit. If I press that, I'm going to have to put it down, sorry. If I press that, it's open. However, on the other side, that's open, that's closed. Which means, and looking at the plugs, the red wires always pass through this side of the switch. Meaning that, well, the deck has to be disengaged and the brake needs to be engaged for power to pass through. So if we take, alright, here's our trigger wire. That goes onto the solenoid. So we put the negative on there, and we trace that down. Now how do we trace wires? Well, okay, you've got a wire there. Give it a push or a pull and look down here and you'll see which one's moving. So we push that through there. You see that wire moving? That one there. Give it a little tug, make sure that's it. Alright, and now that one goes down to that switch. And again, we do that trace thing. It's got to be one of these, and it's that one there. So that goes to the top. So, if we put our negative on the ohm setting, onto the trigger wire, and probe that one there, great, that wire is fine. But it's obviously not going to go through to the bottom one. Watch this. You plug that in. Now, it's still on the negative on the trigger wire over here. Probe the top one, we have continuity. Probe the bottom one, obviously there's nothing, but when I push the switch, bam, that makes the connection. And so on and so forth, through this one, and then back up to here. So, if I plug this into one of these, and then pull both those switches in, oh come on, play along. That's not it. Let's try the other one. Great. We have a circuit. And here's the thing. I was reviewing the footage from previous attempts at this, and I noticed something. When I plug the wires from the starter switch, the push button switch in, as you'll see here, I had them across the switch. So in other words, I had one in there, as you just saw, one in there and one in there. What I should have had was one in there and one in there. So, just for giggles, we're going to go and just play around. We're going to plug the switch in across there, plug in the trigger wire, and let's see what happens. Okay, you can see I have the two starter button wires connected this way now. And I have the booster connected over here to the battery leads. There's positive, and the negatives, hanging over there. That's alright. And last but not least, let's pop that on the solenoid. Now, let's push these two buttons in, press the starter button, see what happens. Well, that did nothing. Now I'm really confused. Alright, let's keep going. Let's put everything back where it should be. So we're going to put that in there. Not that that matters, because that's just the kill switch for the coil. That goes down to this switch down here, which, as I said, all that does is just ground the spark wire. So that should have no effect on the starting system. But, well, you never know. That's just the charging wire. Again, should not have any effect. That goes to here, which goes into here. This one goes back onto a grounding plate back here somewhere. And this one goes down onto the onto the cutting deck. And that's come out of there. That's not good. That's not a good thing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try and pull that out of there and see if I can't tighten up that connector, because that would not be making a contact. And it's that easy to get them out. There's a little prong here. Just need to get in there, push that back, and it releases from a clip inside here. But before you put them back in, make sure you just tweak that out just a little bit. They're only brass, so be careful. Just bend that out a bit, just so you know it's going to lock back in. But you can see from that is not a good shape. So we're going to bend those two sides in, and that'll pull these prongs down. That'll make it a much closer connection. I've solved the mystery, and you won't believe how stupid it was. Yes, one of these wires from the push button starter switch had come out of this, and I wasn't sure which one it came out of. I was assuming, because these two were red, yeah, it was just across there. No, because this red wire goes down to the stator, which obviously is not connected to anything, which is probably a good reason why my battery hasn't been charging. But no, it doesn't go to there. Wire from the battery down here, from the battery terminal down through this fuse, then turns to black. Goes back down through here and up into this switch on here. So one goes in there, the other goes in there. Okay, but if I connect that, the positive, to the battery terminal, everything's connected, trigger wire's connected, push these two switches in, press the starter switch, nothing's happening. Because I assumed, incorrectly, never assume, because it makes an ass out of you, that these two wires were connected onto the same terminal, and as you can see, no, it's not. Down in here, in this boot, there's another ring connected to that red wire. That's the trigger wire. So put those two together. Yeah, cool. Push these two. Press the starter button. Guess what's going to happen? Yeah, it's going to work. It was that simple. But hey, we got a few good laughs, and we learned that the continuity of this system actually works. But I still need to thin out this system because, as I said, now I've figured out that there's no power from the stator going back to the battery. I need to cross from this wire, obviously, over to this wire, so that it can feed back to the battery and charge the battery. So that's something I need to look into. And at the same time, there's a lot of excess wire because, well, this plug isn't even used. This used to go up under the seat, and again, it had a switch on it, and when you stand up, it'd kill them off. I didn't want it to do that. Now, the reason it does that is because if the brake isn't engaged or the deck is engaged, then the mower keeps running, it could run away on you. Well, I'm not that dumb. It's basically, this thing was made idiot proof, so if you stand up, it will just die. That's not happening because that switch is not there. So all this wiring is pretty much defunct. So we can pretty much get rid of all this. But you know what? I'm going to leave that for another video. Now that I've figured out this ridiculously stupid problem, at least now I know where I'm going. You have any idea how dumb I feel right now? That was such a simple problem that it was just something I overlooked because the battery's been out of it, and obviously that little trigger wire got caught back in the boot, and I didn't even realise it was there because it's been so long since I've used it. It's been so long since I took the battery out of it. And by the way, my sincerest apologies for any and all wind noise. It is really windy today, there's unfortunately not much I can do about that. I'm good, but I ain't that good. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching through this. Yeah. If I taught you something and you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit that like button down below. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when the next one's coming. Leave me a comment. Tell me how stupid I am. Go ahead, I dare you. And I'll see you on the next one.